70 to 80 mile per hour winds on the Outer Banks this weekend. With heavy snow, let that sink in for a second. 70 to 80 miles per hour. That's the wind speed of a Category 1 hurricane. In January, with a blizzard, we're looking at the biggest snowstorm in over a decade for parts of the Carolinas, and models just shifted. Who gets buried? Are you in the new bullseye? In the next 30 seconds, I'm revealing exactly which cities just saw their forecast jump and which ones dropped, because this thing is still moving on the models. Before we go any further, I need you to drop your city in the comments right now. Don't wait. Don't think about it. Just do it. I'm going live tonight at 8:30 Eastern, and I'm using your comments to customize coverage for specific locations. The more of you who comment, the more towns I can cover in detail. So pause for 5 seconds and tell me where you're watching from. Here's your reward for commenting. Columbia, South Carolina just trended up. You're now looking at 3 to 6 inches. And some models show even higher. Charlotte, 3 to 6 inches with blowing snow Sunday morning. Greenville and Spartanburg, 3 to 6 inches, possibly more in the upstate. Asheville and western North Carolina mountains, 4 to 8 inches. But here's where it gets crazy. Northern and northeastern North Carolina, 6 to 12 inches plus. The Outer Banks, potentially a foot or more with winds gusting 70 to 80 miles per hour. That's blizzard warning criteria. Cape Cod, Massachusetts, a foot of snow, possibly more, with thundersnow likely. This is not a drill. But here's what just changed in the last 12 hours that nobody's talking about. The upper level low shifted west on the latest model runs. That means more people are now in the heavy snow zone than were yesterday. Let me give you the full scope so you understand what's coming. Winter storm watches now extend from extreme southern Maryland all the way down to Atlanta. The entire state of South Carolina is under a winter storm watch. All of the Carolinas, from Beaufort, South Carolina, up to Boone, all the way out to the Outer Banks, some sort of winter storm watch or warning. Winter storm warnings already posted for the Tri-Cities of Tennessee, Knoxville, western North Carolina, parts of southwestern Virginia. This is impacting millions of people across multiple states. And it starts tomorrow night. We're talking about impacts beginning in the next 36 to 48 hours. This is on the doorstep. Here's what makes this storm different from every other winter system you've seen hit the South. The cold. We have Arctic air in place, not just cold air, Arctic air. The National Weather Service in Miami traced their current air mass back to its origin. You want to know where the air over the southeastern United States is coming from right now? The Arctic Circle. Literally the Arctic Circle. That's why this is going to be plenty cold enough for snow. And not just any snow. Dry, fluffy, powder snow. The kind you see in the Rocky Mountains. This is not your typical heavy, wet southern snow that's great for snowballs and snowmen but terrible for power lines. This is light, fluffy, blowing snow, the kind that drifts, the kind that creates whiteout conditions even with moderate accumulations. Look at the temperatures Saturday morning when snow breaks out across the region. Charlotte, teens. The Triad, teens. Western North Carolina, mid-20s. Columbia, mid-20s. Florence, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, all below freezing. The Outer Banks, below freezing. The Ohio Valley, negative numbers. Actual sub-zero temperatures. This is an extremely cold air mass, and it's locked in place. Now let's talk about why the forecast just shifted and what that means for you. We're swinging down a strong piece of energy from the polar vortex. I've shown you this setup for multiple days now, and there's a reason I keep coming back to it. This is the most important tool for forecasting this storm. The upper level pattern. And we saw some really interesting trends today that suggest this is going to include more people in the significant snow chances. Let me show you why. Friday afternoon, about 24 hours from when most of you are watching this, we have this piece of energy that starts pretty stretched out. It runs from Iowa all the way to just south of Nova Scotia. It's flat, almost horizontal, but then it starts to change. By Saturday late morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, what was once this long, stretched-out piece of energy is now consolidating and breaking apart from the flow. We get a very well-defined dip in the jet stream. A closed low develops in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. That's where the core of the cold air is. That's where the core of the low pressure is. And that's what's going to fire off significant banding of snow Saturday afternoon. But here's the key change. Watch this trend across the last few model runs. The position of this upper-level low has backed up to the west a little bit. It's subtle, but it's significant. Because of that westward shift, we're putting more people into the zone of maximum lift in the atmosphere. Let me explain what that means without getting too technical. In the mid-levels of the atmosphere, wind follows certain patterns based on pressure. Where those wind patterns diverge, where they spread apart, you get rising air. Rising air creates storms. The zone where this divergence is strongest has shifted west. That means the heaviest snow axis has shifted west. Cities that were on the edge yesterday are now in the bullseye today. This is why forecasting winter storms is so difficult. A shift of 50 miles in the upper-level pattern changes everything on the ground. Columbia, you were fringe yesterday. Today you're in play for significant snow. Parts of the upstate, same story. The Piedmont of North Carolina, you trended up. This is a developing situation even though we're only 36 hours away from the start. Here's your timeline, because timing is everything with this storm. Tomorrow night, Friday night, this begins. Light snow breaks out across parts of the Carolinas. This is just the appetizer. The main course comes Saturday. Saturday morning, snow becomes widespread. Saturday afternoon, heavy snow develops. This is when the upper-level low consolidates, and we get those intense snow bands setting up. Saturday night into Sunday morning, the peak of the storm. This is when we see the heaviest snow rates, the strongest winds, the worst conditions. For the Carolinas and Southern Virginia, this is your main event window, Saturday afternoon through Sunday morning. For the Northeast, this is a Sunday storm. The system cranks up off the Carolina coast Saturday night, then bombs out as it races toward New England Sunday. Cape Cod, Nantucket, southeastern Massachusetts. You're looking at Sunday for your heaviest snow and strongest winds. The timing is critical because this determines who gets buried and who gets missed. Now let me break down what each region can expect, and I'm going to be honest about the uncertainty because there's still some. But I'm also going to tell you where confidence is high. Starting in Georgia, Atlanta, you're under a winter storm watch now. 1 to 3 inches is possible, mainly Saturday. Not a huge event for the metro, but enough to create problems. North Georgia mountains, you could see 3 to 6 inches in the higher elevations. South Carolina, this is where things get interesting. Savannah, 1 to 2 inches. Charleston, 1 to 3 inches. Not a major event for the low country, but you'll see some snow. Myrtle Beach, 2 to 4 inches. Now we get into the Midlands. Columbia, 3 to 6 inches. Let me be clear about Columbia. You haven't seen half a foot of snow since 2010. You haven't seen 3 inches of snow since before 2014. For Columbia, this is a rare event. This is significant. And some models are showing you even higher than 6 inches. The European model has a bullseye right over Columbia showing 6 to 8 inches in some runs. I think that's probably a bit overdone. But 3 to 6 is very realistic, and the higher end of that range is absolutely possible. Moving to the upstate, Greenville, Spartanburg, Lawrence, this whole area 3 to 6 inches. Some spots could push higher. The European ensemble guidance is showing a maximum right over this region. You're in a favored zone for heavier snow. Rock Hill, same story. Parts of the upstate could see some of the highest totals in South Carolina. Now let's move to North Carolina, and this is where the forecast gets really complex. Western North Carolina, Asheville, and the mountains, 4 to 8 inches. Higher elevations could push toward the higher end of that range or exceed it. This is mountain snow. You know how quickly it can pile up in the mountains. Boone, Blowing Rock, Banner Elk, you're looking at significant accumulations. And with the light, fluffy nature of this snow, it's going to be beautiful but dangerous. Mountain passes will be treacherous Saturday afternoon through Sunday. Charlotte, 3 to 6 inches. Your timing is Saturday. Snow develops Saturday morning, becomes heavy Saturday afternoon. By Sunday morning, you're going to have blowing snow, winds gusting 30 to 40 miles per hour. We're going to have blowing snow in Charlotte on Sunday morning. That's not something you see often. Light, powdery snow with 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts creates ground blizzards even after the precipitation ends. Visibility drops. Drifting occurs. Roads that were plowed become impassable again. The triad. Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point, 2 to 4 inches is my current thinking. You're in a tougher spot with this storm. Some models show you higher, some show you lower. The exact placement of the heaviest bands is going to determine your fate. Right now, 2 to 4 inches seems like a safe middle ground, but I'm watching to see if you trend up like other areas have. Raleigh, you are in the toughest spot of any major city with this storm. Some models show you a foot of snow. Some show you a couple inches. You're right on the edge of where the heaviest snow sets up. My current forecast for Raleigh is 3 to 6 inches, but I have low confidence in that. This could easily bust higher or lower. If the track shifts slightly west, you get buried. If it shifts slightly east, you get missed. We'll know better by tomorrow, but for now, plan for 3 to 6 and be prepared for it to change. Northern and northeastern North Carolina, this is where I have high confidence in significant snow. Elizabeth City, Kill Devil Hills, Kitty Hawk, the Albemarle Sound region, Jacksonville northbound, all the way up into southeastern Virginia, 6 to 12 inches plus. This is the other maximum showing up on the European Ensemble guidance. You're in a favored position for heavy snow. The upper-level dynamics favor you. The moisture transport favors you. The cold air is definitely in place. Everything is coming together for a major snow event for northeastern North Carolina. And then we get to the Outer Banks. This is where this storm becomes historic. Potentially a foot or more of snow. But forget the snow totals for a moment. Let's talk about the wind. 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts. On the Outer Banks, while it's snowing heavily, this is a blizzard. A legitimate, no questions asked blizzard. Near zero visibility, massive drifting. Any snow total becomes meaningless when you have drifts 4, 5, 6 feet high. Coastal flooding is going to be severe. Beach erosion significant. This happens Sunday morning. By Sunday morning, it's snowing hard and heavy on the Outer Banks with winds gusting 70 to 80 miles per hour. Some areas offshore could see even higher winds. This is a dangerous, potentially life-threatening situation. Moving up to Virginia. Southwestern Virginia, you're already under winter storm warnings. 3 to 6 inches for much of the region. Southeastern Virginia, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake. You're in that northeastern North Carolina maximum I mentioned. 6 to 12 inches is possible for parts of southeastern Virginia with strong winds. 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. Blowing snow. Difficult travel. Richmond. You're in a similar boat to Raleigh. You're on the edge. 3 to 6 inches seems reasonable, but this could shift. The exact track of the coastal low determines your snowfall. We'll refine this tomorrow. Now let's jump up to the mid-Atlantic and Northeast, and I need to be very honest with you about what's happening up there. Philadelphia, D.C., Baltimore, the I-95 corridor, things are not trending your way. It looks like this probably won't be much of anything for you outside of a very cold, blustery day. Maybe a few flurries. Maybe an inch or two in some spots. But this is not looking like a significant snow event for the major cities along I-95. The track is too far east. The storm is too far offshore. New York City, same story. Maybe a coating to 2 inches. Long Island, the further east you go, the better your chances. But even eastern Long Island is only looking at a few inches at most, unless something changes dramatically. But then we get to southeastern New England, and this is where it gets real again. Cape Cod. You're looking at a foot of snow, possibly more. Thunder snow is going to be a very real possibility. Would not surprise me at all. Nantucket. Martha's Vineyard, same deal. Southeastern Massachusetts, significant snow. Parts of Rhode Island. You could see appreciable snow as well. This is a Sunday storm for you. And it's not just the snow, it's the wind. Just like the Outer Banks, Cape Cod is going to see extremely strong winds. 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts, possibly higher. Blizzard warnings are likely for Cape Cod as this storm cranks up. Down East Maine, you're in play for some snow as well. 4 to 8 inches possible in the coastal areas. The further inland you go, the less you see. But the coast of Maine is going to get hit. Now here's the difficult part about the Northeast forecast. We're dealing with a battle of models. The European model shows significant snow for Cape Cod and southeastern New England. The GFS model is much less impressed. We're only a couple days away and we have two completely different solutions. This is boom or bust for New England. Either Cape Cod gets absolutely buried with a major blizzard or it's a nothing event. There's not much middle ground. Based on the ensemble guidance and the overall pattern, I'm leaning toward the European solution, which means significant snow for Cape Cod. But I'm acknowledging the uncertainty. One thing that's not uncertain for the northeast coast is the beach erosion and coastal flooding. Whether you see snow or not, this is going to be a high-impact event along the coastline. Winds offshore are going to be 70 to 80 miles per hour at times. That's going to push water inland. We're dealing with high tide, we're dealing with a full moon, we're dealing with strong onshore winds. Coastal flooding is going to occur from Maine down through New Hampshire into Massachusetts. If you're on Nantucket or Cape Cod, this is on top of the potential heavy snow. That's why blizzard warnings are likely. Let me talk about the wind situation across the entire region because this is a critical part of the story. Remember, this is light, fluffy, powdery snow. It blows very easily. Even a few inches of this snow with 30-mile-per-hour winds creates ground blizzard conditions. Charlotte and Columbia, Sunday morning, you're going to have blowing snow, 30 to 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Visibility is going to drop periodically as wind picks up that light snow and moves it around. The high country of North Carolina, 50 to 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. While I don't expect widespread power outages from this system, we could see some just from the wind alone. The Outer Banks, we already covered, 70 to 80 miles per hour. Southeastern Virginia, 40 to 50 miles per hour. Cape Cod and the islands, 50 to 60 miles per hour, possibly higher. These are dangerous winds. Combined with heavy snow, we're talking about legitimate blizzard conditions. Near zero visibility, whiteout conditions, travel becomes impossible. This is a stay-inside event for areas experiencing blizzard conditions. Here's something important about the European ensemble guidance I want to show you. This shows the probability of at least 4 inches of snow. Notice where you start getting into the higher probabilities. Columbia area, the upstate of South Carolina, the Piedmont of North Carolina, including the Charlotte metro, all showing good chances of 4 inches or more. Then that second maximum shows up in northeastern North Carolina, the Outer Banks, and southeastern Virginia. High probabilities of 4 inches or more, with many areas having good chances of exceeding that significantly. For Cape Cod, the probabilities are even higher. Nantucket, very high probability of significant snow. The confidence is there for southeastern New England. It drops off dramatically as you go inland. New York City, 10% chance of appreciable snow. Philadelphia, less than that. D.C., Baltimore, same story. The Jersey Shore, maybe 15 to 20% chance of this still coming back your way. But it doesn't look to be a big deal. Let me give you the practical impacts timeline, because this is what matters for your daily life. Friday night, light snow begins in parts of the Carolinas. This is when you need to finish any last-minute preparations. If you haven't gotten groceries, if you haven't filled your gas tank, if you haven't checked your emergency supplies, Friday during the day is your window. By Friday night, conditions start to deteriorate. Saturday morning, snow becomes widespread across the Carolinas and southern Virginia. Travel starts to become difficult. By Saturday afternoon, travel becomes dangerous across much of the region. This is when the heavy snow bands set up. This is when visibility drops. This is when roads become impassable. Saturday night into Sunday morning is the absolute worst of it for the Carolinas. Do not travel Saturday night, period. I don't care what you have planned. Cancel it. This is a stay-home situation. Sunday morning, the worst of the storm is impacting northeastern North Carolina, the Outer Banks, southeastern Virginia, and beginning to impact New England. This is when Cape Cod starts to see the heavy snow and strong winds. Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening. The storm is pulling away from the Carolinas, but is at peak intensity for New England. By Monday, the storm has moved off to the northeast. Winds begin to calm across the Carolinas. But here's what people aren't thinking about yet. The cleanup. With light, fluffy snow, plowing is actually more difficult in some ways because the snow blows around so easily. Drifting creates problems. A road that was plowed Saturday night might be drifted shut again Sunday morning from the wind. This is especially true in rural areas and open areas where wind has a long fetch. And then we have to talk about what comes next, because this might not be a one-and-done situation. There are signals in the models for potentially another storm next week. It's too early for details, but it's not too early to track. The pattern is not breaking. The cold air is locked in. The jet stream configuration favors additional storm development. This could be the beginning of an active pattern, not a single event. For citrus growers in the south, for anyone with pipes that aren't insulated, for anyone not used to prolonged cold, you need to take precautions now. This is not just about the snow. It's about the Arctic air mass that's in place, and that's going to remain in place. Hard freeze conditions are likely across much of the south. Pipes that aren't protected can freeze and burst. Plants that aren't covered can be damaged. This is serious cold, and it's not going away quickly. Let me recap the key points because there's a lot of information here, and I want to make sure you have the critical details. Major winter storm this weekend. Biggest snow in over a decade for parts of the Carolinas. Blizzard conditions likely for the Outer Banks and Cape Cod. Heavy snow axis has shifted west on recent model runs, bringing more cities into the significant snow zone. Columbia, Charlotte, the upstate of South Carolina, all trending up. Northeastern North Carolina and southeastern Virginia looking at potentially major snow. Cape Cod looking at a potential blizzard. The I-95 corridor from D.C. to New York looking at very little. Extremely strong winds, especially coastal areas. Light, fluffy, blowing snow creating ground blizzard conditions even after precipitation ends, and potentially another storm next week. Your preparation deadline is Friday. Everything needs to be done by Friday evening. Groceries, gas, emergency supplies, checking on elderly neighbors, protecting pipes. All of it needs to happen Friday. Saturday is too late. Once this starts Saturday, it's going to deteriorate quickly. I'm going live tonight at 8:30 Eastern. I'll be answering all your questions. We had almost 4,000 people in the chat last night. It's an active time. Definitely consider joining. Drop your specific questions in the comments now so I can address them tonight. The more specific you are about your location and what you want to know, the better I can help you. And I need to address something. The models are still shifting. We're 36 hours away and we're still seeing changes in the forecast. This is not unusual for winter storms, especially ones with this type of setup. The exact placement of that upper-level low is critical. A shift of 20 or 30 miles changes everything for cities on the edge. That's why I'm hedging on some of these forecasts. That's why I'm giving ranges instead of exact numbers. Raleigh, Richmond, parts of the Triad, you're in tough spots where the forecast could still swing either direction. But here's where I have high confidence. The Carolinas are going to see significant snow. The Outer Banks are going to see a blizzard. Cape Cod is going to see significant snow with very strong winds. The cold air is locked in and not going anywhere. Those things are certain. The exact snowfall total for your specific street is still being refined. One more thing I want to emphasize. This is light, powdery snow. It's not like the heavy, wet snow the South sometimes gets. Power outages are less likely from snow loading on trees and power lines, but the wind could cause some issues, and the cold after the storm could cause problems for anyone who does lose power. Make sure you have a way to heat your home if the power goes out. Space heaters, generators, fireplaces, whatever you have, make sure it's ready. Check on your neighbors. Elderly neighbors, neighbors who might not have adequate heat, neighbors who might not be aware of how significant this storm is. Community care is important during events like this. We look out for each other. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're literally a couple thousand subscribers away from 100,000. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed, just go ahead and subscribe. All the content is free. Hit the bell for notifications. You'll want the updates as this storm approaches and as the forecast potentially shifts. I'm going to be updating multiple times tomorrow. I'll probably do another video tomorrow afternoon with the absolute latest guidance. Then I'm live tomorrow night again. This is a developing situation. The forecast is going to continue to evolve. You need to stay informed. Thank you for trusting me to give you this forecast. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking this seriously and preparing. This is a significant winter storm. For some areas, this is a historic winter storm. The Outer Banks, this could be one you talk about for years. Columbia, if you get 6 inches, that's a decade event. Cape Cod, if you get a foot with 60-mile-per-hour winds, that's a major blizzard. Stay safe. Finish your preparations Friday. Stay home Saturday. Check on your neighbors. and I'll see you tonight at 8:30 for the live stream. Goodbye.